All right. Well, thank you all for taking the time and welcome to this Maven session. We've done a few so far, so I think this is our round 4 or 3. I'm not keeping count at this point. Just making sure that audio is good. I got this fancy mic here that they got me. Everyone can hear me. All right. So let's get started here. So yeah, we're talking about building AI search strategy for SEO success. It's a topic that has been really hot lately. I feel like I ran this session a few times. The first time I feel like we got 20 signups, and this time we had over a thousand signups. So that tells you a lot about sort of where the topic really is. So a little bit about me. I'm a growth engineer and a search nerd. I started my career actually at Microsoft. Operated in the space for the past 15 years. I taught the first Reforge course on this and the first Maven course on the topic as well, and published a few studies in the area. But also, I run No Good, which is a growth marketing studio based in New York City. Supports many scale-ups and acquisition on many scale-ups and startups on acquisition and retention growth, and search and AEO or geo, whatever you want to call it, is at the heart of that. And also, more importantly, I founded Goodie, a full stack AEO platform to help brands boost visibility and drive growth in AI search and LLMs, and actively being used by many leading brands. So, intro aside, search is changing. We know that's why we're here. So, obviously, um, it's a new zero-click reality. I feel like I have to go through the macro thesis and sort of like where we stand just because of the level of fidelity. That's one feedback that was given before. So, for the pros and the experts out there, sorry, you're going to have to go through a few boring slides, but I want to make sure that everyone sort of like have the really like the understanding of why we're talking about this, why this matters. So a few foundational slides would matter. So it's a new zero-click reality where nearly 60% of searches are zero clicks. Probably the number is much bigger now. By 2028, 50% of brand discovery will happen through generative AI. I think the number would also likely be bigger. This is Gartner's data. LLM adoption is rapidly growing. ChatGPT is the eighth most popular website. We're seeing 800 million visits to the sites a week, according to SEMrush. So it's rapidly growing. Also, AI optimization and AEO, Geo, LLMO, whatever you want to call it, it's growing, and we're seeing massive growth in sort of the demand on it, but also like people trying to understand how can I make sure that I'm visible. So the evolution is from search experience from search engine, conventional search engine, to what we call now answer engine or action engine, which is why I prefer AEO. Thank you, Andreessen, for calling this Geo, which made this difficult for everybody. We have Geo, a bunch of Geo stuff in marketing, but that's my POV. I respect people that call it Geo, and honestly, it's semantic. Call it SEO or SEO 3.0, doesn't matter. But we have a change in terms of answer engines and action engines, and these answer engine and action engines are actively telling our brand narratives and helping brands make helping consumer make buying decision. And to be more specific, we have moved from sort of user query based, which is a question, you type a keyword and you get a response to that, which is the conventional search. And now we have sort of like the AI summaries, which is AI overview. And then we moved from LLMs to PressRag, which is a standard stack that everyone is using with ChatGPT and AI mode and Perplexity and everything else. And we also now have LLM reasoning and really deep search, which is essentially an agent that gets out there and done 15 plus searches on your behalf and brings back the information synthesized and personalized for you. And even take an action if you're using Operator, Manos, or Mariner, any of these projects that are widely available now. So are people using AI search to buy? That's a question. So I'm going to go through a series of questions and some studies that we have here on our end. Are people using AI search to buy? Is it actually driving conversions? The answer is absolutely. This is a Capgemini study from a few months ago. 92% of people with income above $125,000 are using ChatGPT. Massive number, but also 75% of them are open to Gen AI shopping suggestions or recommendations, and 68% have actually bought products based on these recommendations. So it's actively based on sort of like user research. It's driving the needle, but also based on behavioral data that we're getting from Adobe here. This is a study from February this year. Probably numbers is much bigger now, but you can see in green here the rise of AI conversions across their data, and you can check out the report from Feb 2025. So what are the factors that are impact the brand visibility and LLMs on AI search? So another very important questions. So what are these factors and what are we going to do about it? So we ran actually a study analyzing over 1 million prompts and their associated outputs and citations to come up what we call AEO periodic tables. The SEO nerds that know a SEO periodic table would relate. So it's really the largest AEO factors study that we've ran to date. We're actually working on V3 right now. So we're identifying and weighing the factors influencing a brand visibility on AI search and LLMs. And you can see here 15 factors and the weights of each and every factors, all the way from content quality, depth, citations, freshness, verifiable performance metrics, social proof, SERP ranking, crawlability and structured data, which is very important. You can see for Perplexity, it's 99%. For ChatGPT, it's 89%. And again, it's you want to look into the details of how we made the definitions here. We wanted to really like break this down by impact variables. This way it's actionable. You should check out the study. It's on our site, higoodie.com. You can download it and get a sense of really what are the factors that are driving brand visibility by model. This was ran, I believe, 3 months ago now, so we didn't have Gemini 2.5. It will be included the new one. We'll include Grok 4 and a bunch of the new models that sort of or the new versions that appeared more recently. So these factors are again, these are all actionable factors, and it will help you really understand the variability by model. But what really matters at the end of the day, this also tells you the amount of overlap that we have between conventional SEO and sort of like AEO or JEO. And I think by looking at what you see here in blue, it tells you everything you need to know. So you can take these factors also and do a breakdown. That's something that we do for a lot of the brands that we work with. How do you really stack up against competition, and what are the key factors that are really driving your brand visibility? Here it's applied against a few competitors, and you can see we're doing this for a mattress brand, and you can see how they stack up against competition. What are the things that they should be working on? So does AI search drive traffic, and how valuable is that traffic? Another important question. By the way, these are questions that we actually sourced from our community. So I'm going through these questions. I think that was probably the better format that we can go through, and then we can go into a little bit more details with the limited time that we have. So we did another study analyzing here. You can see the footnote analyzing 117,000 inbound leads from October 2024 to April 2025. And you can see here the downstream conversion rates and efficiency of a ChatGPT source lead or Perplexity source lead versus traditional search. So the most valuable channel today on the web is AI search. ChatGPT converts 2x better, twice as good at Google. And that's like in the worst case scenario, better than traditional channels like any other channels that we've measured here. I think we had actually a better breakdown in the study, but I think this is a good summary of it. And you can see also like the down of screen efficacy or efficiency and how it's showing by funnel stage. In other studies, I think after we did ours, there's a couple of studies that came out. Notable one from our friends at SEMrush. They are showing a 4.4%. The average LLM visitor is worth 4.4 x the average traditional organic search visitor. So, and I think this is sort of like one is measuring conversion. This is we're looking at downstream efficacy, and we're actually be able to attribute all the way to lead closed. So it was very interesting, sort of like look at this data. But what we're trying to tell you is, yes, maybe traffic share is not really like 50% like Google and other sources, but really like we're seeing already a rapid increase in traffic share, but more importantly, a much higher quality lead or conversion or users in general. And I think that's really like by the nature of a zero-click experience. Essentially, we compress the funnel. So people now do the brand discovery, research, and just come to your site a lot of the time for navigational and commercial purposes. They just want to take the action on the site more often than not. And that's probably what's driving a lot of the downstream conversion. But also like it's a still new channel, and users are trusting it a lot more than they trust Google. And I think that's also showing in the numbers. So probably that's going to change over time. And but generally, I think it's an answer tends to be personalized. It's already compresses the funnel, and I think we do break down a lot of like the whys behind that and the specific data in the more details in the study as well. So check it out. It's also on our site. So, what are the most influential sources and domains across AI search? This is something that we're about to release. We're actually going to do a more detailed breakdown for this, but you can see here the influence score. Influence score is equivalent to frequency, how often that shows, if you want the exact definitions. But these are the most influential domain in AI search. You can see now the top most frequently cited domains across Gemini, ChatGPT, and Perplexity. We did not include any other models in this study. These are the three that you're looking at the moment. And again, based on analysis on the Goodie platform, and you can see here the breakdown. Social and UGC is dominating. UGC is we got Reddit, Wikipedia, Stack Overflow, Quora, YouTube, X. All of these are valuable sort of references here, but also news and publishers. They're dominating in many ways. They're obviously publishing quite a bit of content, but also obviously some of them have partnerships with some of the model, and they are seen as a trusted, credible source. And a lot of them have obviously like affiliate programs and sponsored content, etc. We're also seeing commerce, Amazon, number seven, Apple, Best Buy, the Target, etc. Affiliates and listicles. This is across all of our platform, but by very specific brands in SaaS and consumer and tech, we're seeing actually the numbers tends to rise for affiliates and listicles. So by industries, the numbers is likely going to be higher, but we're seeing the G2, that Radar, Business Insider, TechCrunch, some of them also get into that business. And whether affiliates or listicles, we're seeing that affiliates and listicle can be very impactful here. And also like academia and science, it's often used to back up claims and data and studies. So you have some examples here. We listed only here the top 20. We have the top 50, but obviously we can break it down by industry and see a lot more granular and more specific data. So and obviously like the references and how-tos, the docs, Investopia, Developer Google, all of those are also valuable sources. So these are some of the most influential domains. I think probably like we see a lot of brands saying, oh, so Reddit is what matters, Wikipedia is what matters. Actually, we see that when we start looking at citations and data by brand, more often than not, really this differs by brand. So what matters is actually what shows to you as a brand and what are the specific sources and domains that are driving influence to these or have influence over these LLMs on by model as well. And I think the specifics is what matters here, but this is sort of general information to sort of like get a sense of what are the sources that are driving that these LLMs are pulling from the most and driving your brand narratives and the answers that we're getting more frequently. So we also seen AI mode launch in more recently. Obviously, hopefully you've seen it, but it's if you're in the world of design, being in the far left corner is probably the most important corner on the web. So it tells you where the space is going and how Google is thinking about this. This is now, I don't think we have stats on usage yet, but you can argue it's the most used AI search experience. Between AI mode and AI overview, they are, obviously got the Google distribution muscles here. So also the CEO of Google came out and said the Google Gemini is being used by over 1 billion users. That's massive number. We're starting to talk billions about this channel. So this is already this came out now over 4 months ago. So the numbers are probably much more now. And Google obviously they got a lot more than just AI mode coming up. They got Project Mariner, which is their version of Operator, Project Astra as well, and they're going to do more and more agentic work on top of search. If you haven't checked Google Search Studio or some of their product studio work, you should check it out. There's a lot of really interesting projects that you can sign up for their beta to get a sense where search is going on that front. But here's a quick comparison between AI mode, AI overview, and Gemini. So you can see what it is, the placement, differentiators, technical architecture, appearance, and how to optimize for each. So technical architecture for AI mode, this one uses Gemini 2.5, but also uses RAG queries and real-time index. Very similar to Gemini, but we've found that the RAG is slightly different because the answers are not really matching, and it's fine-tuned for a specific use case versus Gemini has a general use case. So that's really like the difference that we're able to pinpoint at the moment. You can see here in the custom ranking, personalization, and how like AI mode is really like the Gemini version of for a search experience. But also AI overview using Gemini 2.0, probably Gemini 2.5 right now, but that's what we had on record so far, according to Google, and it uses drag querying Google Index, but it's essentially lightweight summarization of some of the results and not necessarily the top results. And there's a lot of studies out there by many of our friends in the space that talks about how which results AI overview pulls from, and but essentially a summarization of a bunch of results, but it tends to be transparent and show you the exact citations that it's pulling from, and it's not necessarily the top ranking. That being said, there is an overlap between highly ranking results and the chance of being pulled in AI overview, if obviously your answers is seen as AI friendly and it's matching the specific user query here. In terms of appearance, 100% of the time AI mode, at least in the US right now, but you have to click to get to it. So we haven't removed the click. There's going to be a moment potentially when Google removes that click, and whether that happens or not, I think that's where AI mode stands at the moment. But AI overview now appears 50% for 50% of queries. It tends to, I feel like as a user, it appears a lot more, but obviously like there's bias here. And then there's an opt-in used by user for Gemini, and obviously like sort of you have to actually like log in to use Gemini. There's also the free version you don't have to log in for, but Gemini just operates the same way ChatGPT or Perplexity operates. For AI overview and AI mode, it's more embedded into the conventional Google search experience in that sense. I think how to optimize it, really, I think there's quite a bit of overlap between the three here, but I would say that question-based conversational keywords tends to do really well for AI overview, and just how you frame your content. The structure matters for AI overview, and obviously like the being really like thorough and all of this foundational SEO, I would feel like, but obviously just making it more conversational and focusing on a structured data really matters. But for AI mode, I think the schema markup, structured data, you're gonna see the same exact thing, which is why I feel like trying to really separate and optimize for one versus another is not really the right method here. I think you should look across all of the three and really try to optimize for all of them at once, and more often than not, actually good foundational SEO that is really optimized or quote unquote upgraded for this era, I think should get you what you need here. But schema markup matters, structured data really matters, conversational long tail keywords, more importantly, having the proper citation, particularly for AI mode and Gemini. Those citation matters quite a bit and are going to be the key driver of the answers in many ways. And we're going to break that down a little bit more details. I know this is just a high level and a comparison for the sake of just telling you what Google's current AI search ecosystem looks like today. So is there a difference between SEO and AEO? Curious to hear, is there a difference? Raise your hands if you believe that there's a massive difference. Let's get some engagement here. I don't know how to run a poll on Zoom, but that would be an interesting one. I have two questions. Is there a difference between AEO and SEO? And do you call this AEO or GEO? Or LLMO? What exactly you like to call it? Trying to open up. All right, so I'm seeing some answers. Yes. All right. So the answer is obviously like, it's there is a difference because SEO is the foundation for AEO, but yes, there is. I don't think it has to be one or another. We don't have to deal with this duality. I think there's a massive difference because we're dealing with a platform shift. A platform shift means the technology, underlying technology itself, and the platform that people just go to find information, and the technology that it drives is different. So we should not be running the same playbook. So expect a ton of differences here, but the foundation of SEO is core to what AEO is today and what GEO is today. So you can see in the comparison here whether the search paradigm you're using blue links versus inside AI answered. Example engines, you have obviously the Google and Bing and ChatGPT. There's the obvious ones, but typical user query in Google or on Google, you get like a 2 to 5 versus on ChatGPT, like people really have in-depth conversations. So good luck sort of like reporting on keywords and querying in that sense. I think we need different tooling here. So content retrieval, you get here the Google crawls and index web pages, but also These LLMs, they train on massive corpus of data, and then they crawl and retrieve based on external sources in a similar manner, but at the same time, it has that massive memory that it's making a lot of decision based off of. And then you have the brand objective. Here, you want to earn clicks. You're going to get drive traffic. The traffic then drives conversion. But then you get mentions and win on AI search. It's all about getting mentions, becoming visible, and winning the citation game. Um, in terms of KPIs, one is rank and impressions, the other one is citation, share of voice, sentiment, and AI conversions as well. Content style, static, the other one is personalized. Crawlability really matters, metadata and sitemaps, etc. But on the other side, we're seeing LLM text file, robots text file, take a different meaning, different shape, structured data, becoming a lot more important than they used to. Indexation methods are also different. The users here, we're not just optimizing for humans anymore, we're optimizing for agents. They're the internet sort of like, I guess, for second-class citizens now and or first-class citizens. So you gotta respect these agents because they take actions on our behalf. And nearly 50% of the internet traffic are now agents and AI crawlers and bots. So it's something that we should not overlook, and it's not a reality that we're dealing with in conventional SEO. It's actually back in the day, bots were something that we had to a bug that we had to squish. So it wasn't really something that we focused much on. So big difference here. Engagement path. I think you can read the rest of it, but generally we're seeing a lot of differences, and that impacts every aspect of your playbook and how we should be going to market with this. So you can see this as just an evolution. You can see it as difference, but what matters here is that there's a platform shift, and we need a new playbook, and we should not be driven by just the past, because we should be more driven by understanding the technology itself and what's underlining driver the technology and what action we need to take in order to stay ahead here. So, and risk ignored, in one, you get traffic and rank decay, but on the other side, your brand is not even going to be visible. And that's obviously like, other people would be telling your narrative in that sense, more likely your competition. So the difference in a little bit more details, you can see it here. We'll be sharing some of these slides. So how do I do AEO? That's also an important question. And I'm getting a time check here. So I'm going to try to go through some of these slides as fast as I can. So I think we're scheduled here for 30 minutes. I might go a few minutes over time, but I'll try to respect everyone's time and as much as I can, but also capture it as much as I can. And towards the end, this is obviously a lighting lessons. We have a more extended one that I'm going to share a little bit more details about. So how do we do AEO? I think the important strategy flywheel is what you use here, is what drives a lot of the AEO strategy that we work on. So the main thing is about being the source, becoming included or replacing the source, being AI friendly, monitoring your presence, and automating your actions. So these are really the six actions that you need to work on. Being the source is create authoritative lifestyle content, any content that really will become the source for your brands in your industry and your category. Being included is getting features on gift guides, influencers, listicles, all of these UGC sites and recommendation engines and review sites. Replacing the source is when something is working, you gotta provide something as good, if not better, to replace that source and becoming a source yourself. Becoming AI friendly is a lot around structured data, schema markup, and everything in between. Monitoring your presence if you just focus on AI referral, you're probably missing the vast majority of actions. You got to monitor your presence, your visibility and sentiment, share of voice, ranking, performance, competition, citations. All of that has to be monitored, and you need tooling for that. And then you need to automate your actions and be able to track this real time and automate your actions accordingly. On the content side of things, it's important that you identify and prioritize your topics, what topics to write about, and how to identify them. Today, you don't want to be writing anything essentially that ChatGPT would be generating. So very important that you think about your content marketing with that lens. Conduct a brand audit, understand how you're currently perceived and cited by these models. Identify the other sources that are being cited and telling your story. Create the content strategy that matters across all of these avenues, but also monitor and attribute. This way, you know what works and what's moving the needle on your strategy. So core SEO still matters. I think if you're just creating quality content that are helpful in a great experience, expertise, authoritativeness, trustworthiness, the framework has not changed. This is sort of comes from conventional SEO. This still matters and is still at the heart of really good AEO and good quality content in general, so that it remains a feeder for these LLMs, whether to get a click or to get cited. I think that still largely matters. So now, how to make your site AI friendly, and that's we talked about being AI friendly is one of the core pillars of your AEO strategy and what we call AX, agentic experience. There's a massive rise of these crawlers. I think there's a ton of reports around that. This is a source. This source is here from Vercel. There's actually an updated one that came out more recently. You can see the rise of ChatGPT bot, Claude bots, and other AI bots that are sort of like coming up and showing up in the space. And now, how do we configure our robots text file, or LLM text file for these bots? It's important to also understand what these bots are. So I'm going to go through this quickly, but we have a detailed guide and method and how exactly we do that. So you got the training models and bots, and it's very important that you sort of you have a point of view whether you're going to allow or disallow on your robots text file, and certain industries we understand why they don't want to allow. Sometimes actually these models crawl them anyway. I think there's a few cases where this was reported by publishers, but it's important sort of like you configure your robots text file for ideally if you want your content to appear for the allow. But this is for training model bots. This is not the one that we care most about. We care more about the retrieval real-time content, the one that really goes back every time a user just adds a prompt, goes back and brings information from the relevant sites and content, depending on the rack sources that they use here. And you want to make sure that you're definitely allowing these bots and you're actually having structured data that are easy to navigate and easy to understand by these models. I think some issues related to crawlability and structured data, obviously ChatGPT and Perplexity, Gemini, all of these crawlers don't really process JavaScript, so very important. All of the fancy sides, just make sure that prioritize server-side rendering and get your tech team to work on that if you're using a lot of designing and building with JavaScript on the front end. Just make sure that you take care of your server-side rendering. Many AI bots have tight timeouts, so make sure that your speed still matters, performance still matters, and obviously like make sure that your data can be crawled and pulled in a clean and quick way. And then significant percentage of fetches are made on 404 pages, so ensure that correct redirects, ensure essentially like a clean overall site architecture. Once again, good old SEO here. And we talked a lot about LLM text file. Was one of the trending topics in the AEO space for a while. And I think this is sort of one of the founding members of OpenAI, came out recently, actually 2 weeks ago on one of the YC talks, and it talks a lot about the importance of LLM text file and how it's actually robots text file and LLM text file, and how it's a new standard of really engaging with these LLMs and agents at scale. Definitely something you should look into if you don't have your website. I also added the source here if you want to see the talks. But very important to sort of understand that there is a new framework of how to engage with these LLMs and agents, and something that we did not have so much in the SEO world, and now it's becoming real, and it's likely going to be a standard that are adopted by more and more of these LLMs. So how AEO's performance is measured, and I know I'm sorry I'm a few minutes over times here, but I'm going to get through that quickly. You can see, obviously, like, not all traffic is valuable. The goal was never traffic, at least for most brands. The goal has always been organic growth. So don't just run on traffic and anxiety and the decline that we're seeing all over LinkedIn. This brand has a decline in traffic here and there. I've seen a more recent report talking about the decline in traffic for G2, but also I'm seeing the rise of G2 as a massive citation source. So it's very important just that we start looking at our metrics with the lens of today. Not traffic is not the goal now, especially for this space. I think there are ways to measure visibility. There are a bunch of indicators that you should be looking at, and attributions as well. But you can also go and ask ChatGPT about your brands. Half joking here, obviously. I asked ChatGPT what are the best GU platform, and it told you Goodie right away, and it has it has this sort of winner emoji next to it. So obviously, it smells like a suck up here. So it's there's a memory issue, there's alignment issue, there's a ton of issues that it's a dangerous territory to just like your boss ask you, hey, how are we doing on ChatGPT? I asked ChatGPT and it looks like we're doing fine, or I asked ChatGPT, it looks like we're not doing well. Asking an LLM a question about your brand gives you a output, not just a full picture of visibility. So LLMs don't remember; they retrieve. I think remembering you is quote unquote here. There's obviously a memory, but the memory is shallow. The memory is very specific here, and it's not like a memory that is really brand aware and has context that you might have in mind. It's a memory based on your own past prompts. But the other thing that we have alignment on prompt bound. If anyone here asks questions and I ask another questions, we're likely going to get two different answers. And then there's faithfulness, and obviously not just about hallucination, but it's just straight out lies when it's in trouble. And so there's three issues here that you have to navigate, and there's methods of how you can actually do observability at scale. So visibility is not just showing up once or twice or 100 times. It's really about consistency, accuracy across surfaces, frequencies, varieties, and how we do that requires tooling and really like sound methodology to be able to get reliable data that you can actually make decisions based on. That's obviously what we do at Goodie. If you want to know specifically what we do and how we do it, we monitor, analyze LLMs and AI search services across all of the major services out there and all of the major models from ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, Rufus, all of it, AI mode, etc. We build and help you build and scale an optimization engine that really ties back to this data that we collect, whether citations, share of voice, ranking, performance, and then we measure what matters and tie it all and ground it in some reality on your GA4 or any other sources that you want to use. So essentially, a conduit between brands and LLMs to help you research, monitor, analyze, and optimize an attribute. We have a ton of like features that we can always walk you through, but my shameless plug is over. We have the course as well coming up on this, which will be announced relatively soon if you sign up. And obviously, if you want to follow us, here's my LinkedIn, here's my Twitter, and here's my email if you have any questions. Sorry, I went 5 minutes over time. I appreciate you all and thank you for tuning in for